Singer Taylor Swift's recent comments against Congressman Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee lit a social media firestorm. My next guest is here to tell us why Ms. Swift may have missed the mark with young voters. He's a best-selling author, culture expert, and CEO of the Millennial Solution, and he's got some surprising news from recent congressional scorecard research. Please welcome Mr. Brian Bosché. Brian, good to have you here.
Good to be with you.
Let's talk about what she said specifically, because she went after Congressman Blackburn and said that Congressman Blackburn terrified her, and I'm not sure what that's about.
Yeah, this is a word that I focused on, and I think as I look at my generation, an incredible generation, one of the most educated generations in American history, a lot to offer, and the last thing I want somebody with a powerful voice like Taylor Swift to do is inject more fear into our generation. We have a lot to offer America and our talents, and I don't think it's a great perspective to offer the country at a time like this to plunge us further into fear, further into name-calling, further into vitriol. It didn't make any sense to me.
Let's talk about the Millennial Congressional Scorecard.
Yeah.
What is it, and what did your results show from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to Democrats, they're failing millennials miserably on economic opportunity. We measured 5 things. We looked at healthcare, we looked at taxes, we looked at regulation, first-time home ownership. We looked at all of those issues, taking a look at whether or not Democrats were actually worth voting for in terms of millennials. There's overwhelming millennial support for Democrats, but what doesn't make sense is they're not doing anything for millennials in terms of economics.
Well, if that's the case, then why do millennials basically support people on the left? What's going on?
Yeah, I think Democrats get away with a lot of emotional pandering. If you care about your economic future as a millennial, Republicans are the way to go, hands down.
But there's a communication gap, because is it Republicans are doing a pathetic job of communicating?
For Republicans, pathetic's a nice way to put it. I mean, they have...
No, I've said it for a long time. I think Republicans are terrible at communicating.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, Republicans have the argument. They're helping them in terms of taxes. They've got better solutions in terms of health care. I mean, Obamacare was terrible for millennials. The penalty, $800 a year if you're single, if you chose not to get health insurance. And when my wife and I got married 3 years ago, $500 a month, $12,000 annual deductible. That's nice, right? So I don't even get to touch my health care benefits. If I go in for a cold, it's all out of pocket, nothing, right?
I want to tell you, Brian, it was good for me. I'm 63, and I had maternity benefits.
You did. That's
not
good.
my wife.
That's
me.
Good. Yes.
63
yes.
male, 63-year-old male.
Yeah.
And if I got pregnant,
yeah,
I was covered.
You're good. You're good. Yes.
I loved Obamacare, man.
Yes. Yes.
You never know when you're going to need that.
And if I needed a pregnancy test, I was good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what percentage of millennials will even go vote?
You know, that's hard to tell here. I think if you've got Republican consultants out there, if you're a candidate and your strategy is you're just hoping that millennials don't show up, you don't have to look any farther than Texas, where Beto is just killing it with millennials in terms of crowds. And the question is, will they show up? I think there's a good chance they will. And of course, he's been out raising Cruz. $38 million in 3 months. It's quite an operation. I'm sure all that money came from Texas, by the way. Yeah, you know, right out of New York. So, you know, when it comes to millennials, they're supporting people like Beto. I think they may show up. I think some Republicans are going to be in for a surprise. If you look at the elections in Virginia not too long ago, Republicans got their butts kicked.
They better show up,
yeah,
because if they don't, it's going to be a tough time. And I fear that if we have Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer in charge of things, it ain't going to be pretty time.
They're the best of what America's got to offer.
Ooh, I think we could do better. Brian, thank you for being here and sharing that perspective. And before you young voters turn left just because the cool kids said to, I hope you just make sure that you're not being steered over a cliff. I wish you'd download this free report at millennialscorecard.com. That's millennialscorecard.com. And of course, you can find Brian Bosché on Twitter at Brian Bosché. It's there on your screen. Doesn't spell like it sounds, so look for it on the screen. And I hope you will follow him on Twitter and look also at his website.